This book is by you can read this book by Pandeli. Pandeli Pan. Introduction to Business and Economic Journalism. Okay. It's telling us that uh, to become a professional business journalist is a lifelong learning process. Okay. Uh, it will also come to you that people you'll be complaining that they don't know that they don't know enough about the topics they are covering. People complain about this. One of the biggest complaints about business journalists or economic reporting is that people think those journalists don't know enough about the topics they are covering, which is true. They're not they're not economists. So well, you are an expert in journalism, not business, and thinking and writing about the economy as a whole. So business and finance may not necessarily require one to possess academic degrees in those areas of study. Okay. However, to become skilled in this job requires to understand about details of economics, business, and finance. Okay, and to have the mastery of news gathering, processing, and presentation. So uh, the and I should say, in anything you write as a journalist, always expect a backlash. People will always complain. There will always be complaints. I have an experience in this. And don't expect people will praise you. If those praise you, just know maybe question or something must be lacking. Okay? So, when we're talking about, uh, so in a, um, to become skilled in this job requires to understand about details of economics, business, finance, as I said. Okay, so the primary task for journalists covering this area is observation. Hmm? Okay, observation of economic changes and business trends as they take place in society over time. Okay, so with a curious eye and relate the same to wider global developments. So, yes, you also be forced to think globally, but right local, isn't it? They think globally what's happening elsewhere, but then narrowing down to the situation in Malawi. Be able to relate. Okay. So it's necessary to know how to generate business and economic news ideas for journalistic purposes. Okay. Um, what makes a good business story? Okay. So, in many ways, a business story is no different from a general news story. It's not different. It must be accurate, okay, thorough, well researched, balanced, fair, and contain multiple sources of information. Eh? So the accuracy is important. It will be thorough. Well, thorough. Okay. So in business economics stories, though numbers, specific data, and statistics are critically important. Eh? Numbers, specific data, and statistics are critically important. Okay. Um, five W's and one H, and two more key questions. Okay. First, what are these? The who, what, where, when, why, and how. Also known as five W's and one H, isn't it? Are important. But as a business reporter, however, eh, um, you take questions further and ask how much and how many, isn't it? Yeah. So successful business reporters are not afraid to ask how much things cost, where the money is coming from, and who is going to, and who is going to. So a story about the sale of a company, for example, must include the sale price, the number of employees, and who the new owners are. A story about the sale of a building must include the sale price, the price of the building, its age, the size of the property where it sits. Otherwise, those stories are incomplete. Yeah? Okay. Another example. That's another example. If a new generic drug, that's for hypertension, right, goes on the market, a journalist working on a general story, they look into the effects of the medicine, its ingredients, and the case studies that have been done on the medicine. General story. But as business reporter, we look at the numbers in the story and ask, how much does the new medicine cost? How does that cost compare with the price of other medicines on the market? Who is making money from this new medicine? The doctors, the manufacturers, the pharmaceutical company. You see, the question of a business reporter are different from a generic reporter. Yeah. A generic reporter is more interested in the effects. A journalist is in the cost, the pricing, and all those. Okay. For example, when writing about a new housing development subsidized by the government, the general news reporter may primarily be interested how tenants for the house will be selected, like Malay housing is being applied. Who are the tenants going to be here? How much will they pay in rent? About political and neighborhood support, or how will they be taken care of? But the business reporter also wants to know which contractors have been awarded the construction bids for the project. How much each contract is worth? How many employees will be hired in the construction phase, and then later to manage the project? You see, the, how many employees will be hired in the construction phase and later to manage the project? Where the capital money, isn't it, comes from to fund the project, and how that money will be repaid. Of course, every story should contain this, isn't it? But it is the details about numbers and money that often are missing in media stories. And that is where the opportunity comes for those who are interested in pursuing the business angles. Okay. Um, we discussed the issue of the human angle. The human angle. Again, as emphasized when we were discussing it first, Above, as of the raw materials for business and economic news are numbers and statistics. However, a business story uh, might be about economy, finance, corporate deals, profits and losses. It is still journalism. Hence, economics and business is always best reported through people. Okay? So figures themselves might not be vivid, but when you put a human face on them, on those figures, that is a different matter. As in every good news story, a strong business story will always show the human element. But when you're beginning, sometimes you're overzealous. Eh? You're so excited, so much on the numbers and technical information of a business story that you forget to include how these changes in economics policy, like taxation, monetary policy, etc., or in the business environment, affect everyday people. You forget, you start thinking like you're dealing with machines, or for fun. So consumers are the driving force of business. And without paying consumers, or rather customers, businesses will close up if there are no customers. So every successful business economic story must underlie the human face of sorts and show how the topic of the story will affect its buyers, suppliers, producers, and the general public.